You walk across the tongue, a landscape of bumps that house 10,000 taste buds. Each bud dies and is replaced every 2 weeks. Sweet, sour, salty, bitter, umami, they're not evenly spread. The map you learned in school was wrong. Most of what you call taste is actually smell traveling. The back route through your throat. A drop of saliva falls like rain. You could fill 2 swimming pools with it in a lifetime, enough to keep your mouth safe from the acid below and start digestion before food even reaches the stomach. The liver looms ahead. Dark red and enormous. The only organ that can regenerate itself from a quarter of its original size. It performs 500 jobs at once: detox, storage, factory, incinerator, yet asks for nothing in return except the occasional break from alcohol. You pass the kidneys, to bean-shaped filters that clean a bathtub of blood every hour. They decide exactly how much water you keep, how much salt, how much acid. Miss a day of drinking and they'll squeeze water from places you didn't know you had. Bones now. You're inside the femur, a hollow pillar stronger than steel for its weight. It's alive, constantly remodeling itself. Laying down new layers where stress demands and dissolving them where they're no longer needed. By the time you're old, every atom in your skeleton will have been replaced several times over. Muscles slide past like red cables. The strongest relative to size is the masseter in your jaw. When you bite, it can exert 200 pounds on your molars. The gluteus maximus is the largest by volume. Built for walking upright onto legs across African plains a million years ago. You reach the uterus, a muscular chamber the size of a pear that can stretch to hold a 7-pound baby, a liter of fluid, and a placenta almost as big as the child itself, then shrink back within weeks, leaving almost no trace. Deeper now, into the 20 feet of small intestine. Its walls are covered in finger-like villi that wave like seaweed, absorbing nutrients so efficiently that only a teacup of waste reaches the end. Somewhere along the way lives your appendix, a tiny safe house full of good bacteria waiting for the day food poisoning wipes out the main colony. Evolution kept it because second chances matter. You drift into the large intestine, where water is reclaimed, and the leftovers are shaped into something polite enough to leave the body. Trillions of microbes work here in perfect darkness. They outnumber your own cells 10 to 1 and weigh as much together as your brain. Without them, you couldn't digest plants, make certain vitamins, or train your immune system. A sudden surge of heat, your temperature has just climbed a degree because somewhere outside you left. The hypothalamus, no bigger than an almond, noticed and adjusted every blood vessel in seconds. It's the same thermostat that makes you shiver when it's cold, sweat when it's hot, and blush when you're embarrassed. You crawl through a forest of microscopic hairs inside the nose. They warm incoming air to exactly 36.6 C and humidify it to 100%, turning winter frost into tropical steam before it ever touches your lungs. The nose can remember 50,000 different smells, some of which can make you cry for reasons you can't explain. Now you're standing on the glossy black surface of the eye. Light pours in upside down. The lens flips it, the brain flips it again, and you never notice the editing. At the back, a thin screen of cells catches photons and turns them into electricity. You have a built-in blind spot the size of a thumbnail, but the brain simply paints over it with whatever should be there. Your ears catch a low thrum, your own heartbeat, traveling through bone. The 3 tiniest bones in your body live here, passing sound from air to fluid with almost no loss. They're the same size they were when you were born. Everything else grew, but these stayed perfect. You race sitting alone in a quiet apartment on a December night when you accidentally press the wrong button on a strange silver remote you found in a drawer. A flash of violet light swallows the room, and in the space of a heartbeat you shrink to the size of a dust mote and fall straight through your own skin. You land softly on a warm, slightly rubbery plane that ripples under your feet. This is your skin, the largest organ you own, a living fortress 3 millimeters thick yet strong enough to stop bullets if they're small enough. You walk across it and notice the surface is covered in tiny canyon spores that open and close like breathing mouths. Every second, dead cells drift away like snowflakes, and 1 year you will have replaced your entire outer layer without ever noticing. A warm wind pushes you forward and you tumble into a crimson river. Blood. It roars past you in waves, carrying donut-shaped red cells that look like flexible lifeboats. Your heart, somewhere far upstream, is pumping to 1,000 gallons a day. Enough to fill a backyard swimming pool every 12 hours. The river bends sharply and you're swept into a narrow tunnel where the walls squeeze rhythmically. This is an artery. Its lining is smoother than any glass you've ever touched. Designed so nothing sticks, evolution's non-stick pan, the tunnel opens into a dark, humid cave that smells faintly of iron and salt. You've reached the lungs. Each breath pulls in half a liter of air. But you only use a fifth of the oxygen. The rest is politely returned to the world. Tiny hair-like brushes sweep dust upward in perfect synchrony, a cleaning crew that never sleeps. You grab one of the brushes and ride it like an elevator toward the light. At the top you step onto a spongy pink cliff. The brain. It looks soft enough to scoop with a spoon, yet it runs on just 20 watts, less than the bulb in your refrigerator. While you watch, lightning storms of electricity flash between folds. Rewriting memories, inventing dreams. Deciding what you'll have for breakfast tomorrow. The brain has no pain receptors. Surgeons can poke it while you're awake, and you feel nothing. A sudden lurch, and you slide down the slick tube of the esophagus. 30 seconds later you splash into the stomach, a churning bag of acid strong enough to dissolve zinc. Food arrives in chunks and leaves as soup. The whole process is guarded by a ring of muscle that opens exactly once per swallow and never makes a mistake. You cling to a floating piece of bread and watch enzymes tear proteins apart like tiny